everybody. This is Jared Pixley for President, coming at you once again. This time I have put on my shirt and tie. As one commenter, Sweaty Shopper, said, I need to look more presidential instead of wearing my usual Mr. President t-shirt. Feel a little silly dressing up just to sit in front of a camera, but if that's what it'll take to win the votes, I'm willing to do it. Today I want to discuss the situation in Venezuela. Since early September last year, the U.S. started bombing Venezuelan fishing boats. So far, they have destroyed 35 boats and killed about 115 people. At least one of the attacks, they circled back around to bomb the survivors after the first attack, which, under the Uniform Military Code of Justice, is an actual textbook example of an illegal order. The U.S. also captured at least one oil tanker and presumably has stolen the oil from it. All of this led up to the events of January 3rd, 2026, when the CIA and U.S. military landed in Venezuela, captured President Maduro and his wife, and brought them to the U.S. to stand trial. And in that attack, they bombed the capital using 150 military aircraft, and I do not remember exactly how many people died in the attack. A lot of people are talking about what is going on, but very few, if any, have given the people the whole context. So let me try to explain a few things. In April 2013, Nicolas Maduro Moros became president of Venezuela. He had previously served as vice president under Hugo Chavez, and before that as Minister of Foreign Affairs. President Chavez died in 2013, and Maduro won a special election, narrowly defeating his opponent, Enrique Capriles, with just 1.5% of the votes separating them. In 2018, there was a new presidential election which Maduro won. However, there was evidence that the voting machines had been tampered with and gave him an extra 1 million votes. Maduro was not a popular president. Venezuela was suffering inflation, crime, and shortages since the end of Chavez's rule. In 2016, there was a recall vote for Maduro, but the government arrested the organizers of the movement. 50 nations announced that they did not accept Maduro's re-election. The U.S. was one of them. However, China, Russia, and Cuba did accept him staying in office. As president, Maduro had been a dictator. He had censored the press and locked up his political enemies. Well, all of this sounds very familiar. The U.S. put a bounty on Maduro's head, though no one has collected it. Finally, in January, 150 aircraft bombed the capital, and Delta Force invaded the presidential mansion to arrest Maduro. So Maduro isn't a dictator, and we don't like him. Many people around the world are happy that we have arrested him. Now here comes the but. Under what authority can the U.S. interfere with another country's government? Not only have we arrested their leader, Trump has also said that the U.S. will rule Venezuela until they form a new government. All of this is in violation of Article 2, Section 4 of the UN Charter, which says, all members shall refrain in their international relations from the threats or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, or in any other manner inconsistent with the purposes of the United Nations. Many other world leaders are condemning the administration's actions. Even Putin said it was horrible. And Trump has already discussed doing this again, specifically to Cuba and Mexico. Trump has stated that it's might that makes right. He does not see the need to follow any treaty that the U.S. has signed. People have also argued that these actions are in violation of the Constitution's separation of powers. Congress has the power to declare war, not the U.S. However, the administration has said that they did not declare war, they just conducted a police action. While I agree with this statement, the fact that they have the Navy off the coast of Venezuela and have been conducting airstrikes for months, it seems like a lot more than just a police action. And the fact that the U.S. is now running their country, that indicates it is not a police action. And Trump has declared himself acting president of Venezuela. He even posted that on Wikipedia. This is proof that this is not a police action. According to a White House insider, Trump is refusing to back the opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, because she accepted the Nobel Peace Prize. Trump did briefly suggest that he would leave the vice president in charge, though if Maduro was illegitimate and stole the election, Delcy Rodriguez would also be illegitimate as vice president. Trump recently met with a bunch of oil executives about going in and taking over their oil reserves, which Trump states that they stole from us. Even though that oil has always been theirs, it's always been underground in Venezuela. They didn't pipe it down from the U.S. They were just letting some American oil companies work their reserves, but then they nationalized their oil industry and kicked the U.S. companies out, which we have done in the United States to other companies' industries. Well, we didn't nationalize them, we just kicked them out and let U.S. companies take over. During the meeting, Trump got up from his chair and went to look out the window. After a moment, he returned, and Marco Rubio gave him a note to remind him what they were even talking about. After the meeting, Exxon said they did not want to spend the $100 billion that it would cost to upgrade the equipment in Venezuela. I don't know if that number was one that would be shared between the various companies going in, or if that was what each company that wants to go in would have to pay. It's interesting that the companies have to spend all that money to fix the industry, and then Trump gets to keep the profits from selling the oil. Trump has stated that all profits from oil sales would go into his own slush fund, not the U.S. Treasury. If I were in that meeting, that would seem like a bad investment to me as well. As I've stated in my book, and I've stated in other videos, I do not believe the U.S. should be the world's police. When we've meddled in internal affairs of other countries, it's always gone badly before us. We put Fidel Castro in charge of Cuba. We put Saddam Hussein in charge of Iraq. We also caused Muammar Gaddafi and Osama bin Laden to rise to power. In my book, Pixley for President, I also talk about how we tried to overthrow the government in Nicaragua and the results of that. Now let's work on fixing our own country first. Now going back to the trial of Maduro that is going on in the Southern District of New York, they have had an initial hearing. I do not know when the trial will actually begin. I haven't got around to looking that up. Maduro has expressed, his, interest, determination, in using his diplomatic authority to avoid trial. When he was asked if he was guilty or not guilty, he said that he was the president of Venezuela and therefore immune, diplomatic immunity. So we'll see how that goes. The fact that Trump has already pardoned some of the biggest drug smugglers and drug dealers that we had in prison. Also indicates Trump doesn't care about stopping the drug smuggling. The charges that have been laid against Maduro also don't match what Trump has claimed he did. So, I don't see the trial going very well for the U.S. I predict Maduro will get off the hook and go back to Venezuela. But I'm no judicial expert, so we'll have to see what happens when the trial actually begins. But I don't know, and I don't think anyone at this point can really predict what Trump will do next. Will we start taking over another country? I know Germany has moved troops into Greenland to help protect their ally against an American invasion. The UN has been abuzz. Many UN members have been complaining and ordering, condemning the U.S.'s actions. There's been talk of possible sanctions against the U.S., which, since because of our tariffs, no one wants to really trade with us anymore. We're not too far away from that. So, to be honest, this is just one of those things we're going to have to watch and see how it develops. And there's all sorts of ways it can get worse, and I'm sure it will get worse, but in what way? Who will we attack next? There's no way to tell. It's whatever Trump wakes up and feels like doing that day. That is why we need to work to remove him. As Trump has said, his biggest worry is that the Democrats will win the midterm elections, and they will have enough control in the House and Senate to actually impeach him and remove him from office. And at the moment, that is the best thing I think we can do. And yes, J.D. Vance will be bad, but he will be bad in a completely different way. And if he starts violating the laws as well, we can impeach him and just work our way down the list. So, come November, vote for the candidate that you'll think will do the best good for this country. And just remember that a Democratic candidate would be one more vote to impeach Trump. And then in 3 years, I hope you vote Jared Pixley for president, and I will do everything within my power to fix our image in the eyes of the world. I will obey our treaties. Honor. Not sure what the correct term is there. But I'll respect our treaties. I'll respect our allies. I will not create a new enemy. I'll do my best not to create a new enemy for the U.S. government. There's all sorts of unintended consequences. But I won't invade and overthrow the governments of other countries, unless they are an active, immediate threat to the U.S. And of course, I will defend our country. But I won't be the world's police. I'll just be the world's best friend. That's my goal. So just remember that together we can win. Thank you for watching this week. I hope to see you again next week. Goodbye.